I'm a superhero. I do this for a living.
I'm touching myself tonight.
Deadpool is one of my favorite anti-heroes in fiction, and since the brand new movie is coming out in theaters here soon, I thought it would be fun to see if I could be Fallout 4 as Deadpool. Deadpool Mod by Wapeddell. I am sorry if I butchered that. I'm sorry if I'm being quiet, I don't want to wake my roommates. It all started in my lovely home in Boston. I got ready for the day, filled out some paperwork, and played with my son's mobile. I was going to go to the park with my lovely wife when the end of the world came knocking and we were forced to sprint to a conveniently placed vault just over the hill. We make it just in time to get a face full of radiation before descending into the long, dark hole and becoming the human equivalent to a SpongeBob popsicle.
Ah! Good God! It's hideous. But beautiful in an ugly way. But mostly hideous. Ugh.
My wife failed a quick time event and I thawed, vowing vengeance on the man who stole my son. I was able to get through the vault with ease, grabbing the Pip-Boy and emerging into the blinding sunlight of the brand new world. The world had changed a lot since I was frozen. Good thing I planned for these kinds of situations. Before I left the house, I shoved one of my suits up my ass in order to make sure that it wasn't confiscated by vault security. I may or may not have hit a few more items in just in case, but that's besides the point. My wife's murderer and son's kidnapper is out there somewhere, and I don't care if I smelled like 2-century-old shit. I will find that man and save my son. I couldn't do much from Sanctuary, so I made my way to Concord, passing a cute dog, and smacked some giant mosquitoes with my giant mallet as they sucked off a 2-headed cow. That was the weirdest set of words I've ever said. I continued my way to Concord, dealing with the raiders outside and inside the museum the only way I know how. I talked to Preston, climbed into the very convenient full set of power armor and intact minigun just on the other side of the door. I hopped right out of the armor and jumped down 3 stories with nothing but my mallet and a raging boner for Gristle's head. Who's Gristle, you may be asking? That's Gristle, and he isn't the only one who felt my mallet that Tuesday afternoon. I was having the time of my life until a very uninvited guest decided to crash my party. Thankfully, he seemed more interested in the raiders than me.
Oh, hell no!
I escaped in a hardware store, trying to slash and stab the Deathclaw from the narrowest doorway, but when I pulled out my hammer, he decides to run away, like a bitch. What a 2-ton lizard bitch running for my hammer-sized ass-whooping.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
As I was saying, I knew I only had one opportunity to take this asshole down, and with all my might, I brought my hammer down on his snout so hard that he launched into the stratosphere, and then proceeded to eat shit on the way down. With that taken care of, I met Preston back at Sanctuary and was aboard with my very first settlement mission. Well, my other options are either evil, racist, or idiots, which leaves the Minutemen as my best option, but god is it boring. I made my way to the first settlement and they tell me that they have been getting harassed by a raider group in Lexington. They control the Corvega assembly plant and I easily take out the outside guys. But the inside guys, that was a different story. Each raider can be taken out pretty easily, however, there are so many of them that my health struggles to keep up. I even got toasted like a chimichanga before getting my nose broken by a raider's shotgun. I was doing pretty good one time, taking them out quickly and easily. As I was saying, I was able to take out every raider, wait for my health to come back before continuing my rampage through the car plant. I even killed some of my powerful thrusting hips. After a while, I managed to find the leader of his hideout, but the first try didn't go very well. The second one didn't go much better.
Canada!
Finally, on my third try, I am able to take out the leader and finish my mission. Now all I have to do is escape through the weak little minions. Fuck this shit. I demolished the leader and immediately made my way outside and proceeded to massacre the remaining raider population until there was no one left. I even scared the shit out of one of them by descending from the heavens and slicing his throat. Sadly, he wasn't wearing his brown pants. I made my way back to the settlement to report my success and then talked to Preston, who got me more missions. Yay! Not wanting to do more settlement quests just yet, I made my way to Boston proper, helping a tin can with her legs on the way, and took out some random raiders for no real reason. On my way to Good Neighbor, I met a new friend. Never mind, he beat my ass. I ran for it, but stopped when I realized he wasn't chasing me. Carefully making my way back over, I find him attacking someone else before smelling my fear and making a beeline straight at me. I ran again, but stopped when he once again didn't chase me. I got a bit annoyed. Was I not worthy of being chased? Was my ass not good enough? How could someone look at my ass and not want to chase it? I walked back only to find the dumbass stuck between a moped and a traffic cone, unable to get through. Seeing my chance, I proceeded to taunt the bear, running in circles just out of its reach, calling it a fat piece of shit. Shit. Oh well, let's try again. Oh, please don't tell me. Every time I die, I am stuck a second away from the bear killing me. Not wanting to let the bear win, I pulled up Vance, which allowed me a brief window to block the bear's first swing, but the follow-up always killed me. Finally, I decided to try and attack the bear in Vance. It was a dangerous move, but I was able to hop my way out of danger. Sadly, that put the bear in between me and Good Neighbor, and without thinking, I booked it. Watching as the bear gave chase, I soon ran out of stamina, and he was catching up. At the last second, I juked to the right and behind a car to confuse the bear, waiting for my stamina to return. I booked it again and regained some speed and narrowly made it inside, my cheeks thoroughly clenched and not in the mood to deal with dickheads. Wanting to unwind, I talked to some people who were almost as sexy as I am, got strangely aroused by a robot, and agreed to do some jobs. Okay, it's been some time, it should be safe by now. Stupid fucking Yogi son of a bitch. I was forced to fast travel out of Good Neighbor and stopped by the public library to drop off an overdue book in a comic shop in order to grab some cosplay, before stumbling upon a metro station full of a bunch of gangster wannabes. I kicked a man in the dick and decapitated another before entering the vault and demolishing another. I continued my massacre deeper into the vault, taking out everyone in the reactor room before making it down to the atrium and being able to sneak up on an unsuspecting dumbass. Don't worry, I took care of him stealthily. I rescued my metal mistress and followed him all the way to the top of the vault, not letting anyone stand in our way. I didn't let Skinny finish his sentence before bum rushing him and tripped him like a little bitch he was, before taking out his guards and crazy girlfriend. Skinny thought he was hot shit, but my mallet had other ideas. I found something fabulous. Hey, my eyes are up here, pervert. I felt sexy as I met Nick out of the subway, but changed back to my regular suit as I made my way to his agency. I talked to Nick about my son's kidnappers, and his description led Nick to one man, Kellogg, a mercenary that lived nearby. So Nick and I decided to pay a quick visit to his house. Sadly, it was locked, and I was forced to bribe a secretary for a key. With that done, we entered Kellogg's home, and aside from this strange obsession with corn and handcuffs, we found a secret little sex dungeon in one of the walls. It even comes with a little friend. We were able to find some clues, and Nick said he had the perfect method for finding Kellogg. You've gotta be fucking kidding me. Me and the dog made our way to Kellogg's location, taking out a settler on the way. We reached his little fort, waited for morning, and took out his security before entering the building for the fun part. Where you at, Kellogg? Shit. Apparently my suit, while being very good at ballistic damage and accentuating my assets, I forgot to make it resistant to lasers, leaving me no better than being naked. Since full-on assault would leave me with more burn holes than I'd care to receive, I opted for a more sneaky approach. I dealt with the remaining tin cans as I made my way down to the lower levels of the building, getting into some risky situations along the way. but I was ultimately able to make it past Kellogg's security and confronted him in his command room. I didn't want him to speak, I just wanted him to pay for what he did. I rushed him, but was unable to attack him. Trying my charge again yielded the same outcome. Frustrated, I kicked the man's feet out from under him, but he slowly stood up like nothing had happened. Thinking hard, I turned my body away and then swung hard, turning my body just at the right moment to hit him square on, dealing massive damage. He was easily taken out, but his two tin can friends were a different story. Trying again, I was able to hit Kellogg with a swift stab, but immediately turned around and focused on his bodyguards, taking them out and leaving Kellogg barely able to harm me. Me and Dogmeat proceeded to fight a ghost, decapitated a ghost, steal his brains, download his search history, and leave the fort in one of the longest elevator rides I've ever been on.
1 hour later. 2 hours later. 3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
With that taken care of, I brought my findings to Nick, who sends me off to Dr. Amari in order to scan Kellogg's brain. In order to go through Kellogg's brain, she says I need to sync up with Nick's brain to make the process easier or something like that. I don't know, I stopped listening after brain. I better not see any chrome cock while I'm in there, Nick. I already have my eyes set on one, and his name starts with C and ends with Ossis. I handed Dr. Amari the brains I kept in my back pocket, crawled into the machine, and entered Kellogg's brain. It took a while before I made it to the end of the memory, and I found him. My son, grown into a young man. The sight made me want to cry, but I couldn't do anything, so I watched as a strange man in a strange coat took my son and teleported away. I told my findings with Dr. Amari, who said the strange man who took my son must have been an Institute agent, and she told me a rumor of a man living in the glowing sea named Virgil. She says that he could have the plans to build a teleporter in order to enter the Institute. Without thinking, I started running to the glowing sea, stabbing nukes that got in my way, and launching deathclaws into the air for even thinking about stopping me, until I reached the glowing sea. I felt the burn of radiation as I ran and ran, killing pharaohs that got in my way, before finding the cave that I was looking for. I talked with Shrek, who said he could give me the plans for the teleporter, but they would require a Corsair chip's data to function. Luckily, Shrek had a way to track one, but first I stopped off at a doctor to cure my radiation poisoning before setting off in search for this Corsair. I tracked him down to Green Tech Genetics, where he was tearing through a group of gunners in order to reach a target, and I am forced to fight through his sloppy seconds in order to reach him. Running through fire to take them out and getting my toes zapped by electricity, I had a little scare involving a rocket launcher before tossing it over a bridge and continued my rampage to the top where the Corsair is waiting for me. I tried to take him out stealthily, but that didn't go as planned. The second time didn't do much better, but the third time was the charm for once in my life, and I just kept stabbing until he dropped dead. I picked the Corsair chip from his brain, exited through the elevator, nearly got my legs blown off, and paid a quick visit to my least favorite faction. I think you know what's about to happen here. I solved the easiest puzzle in the world, walked menacingly into the darkness, and immediately targeted Glory, the only true threat that these guys have. The rest were so worthless that Deacon entered a state of limbo after I stabbed him. With the side characters dealt with in the main hideout, I decoded the chip, returned to Shrek, got the plans, and took them to Sturgis, who told me what to build. I built a teleporter out of scrap coffee mugs and century-old sex toys, but it came to life, and with a swift shock to my balls, I was transported into the Institute. I downloaded their secrets and made my way through the pristine walls, listening to the man behind my son's kidnapping, until I made it to a small room with my son in some kind of habitat like an animal. I tried to get my son to open the door with no luck when the door opens up and a monstrosity walked out. He looked just like my son, and I attacked without thinking. The bastard stole my son because he knew he was special and wanted to become like him. This place was pure evil, and I needed to free my son from their clutches. I couldn't free him from his cage, so I escaped back through the teleporter and vowed that I would destroy the Institute. But first we needed to build our strength, and what better way to do that than recruiting settlements. That being said, I made my way around the Commonwealth, helping out settlements along the way, but none of them are worth a mention until I came to Finch Farm. They've been dealing with a band of fire-worshipping weirdos up the road. Their son joined them and the mom wanted me to bring him back alive. I'll see what I can do. My first try didn't go very well, as usual, leaving me a burned crisp. My second try, I tried stealth, taking out one enemy before fleeing and activating my special ability. I was able to go back to normal and attack the remaining enemies with varying results until I was able to make it into the factory and almost immediately died by fire. Trying again, I was killed by a Molotov from heaven. Third shot gave me one of the coolest screenshots I've ever seen.
Nice.
And briefly turned into a man with crippling issues and a bat fetish. Getting to the end of the dungeon, I wanted to look my best for the boss, so I pulled out my dress and charmed the sun with my feminine wiles. With that dealt with, I immediately attacked the boss. However, I forgot that I was still wearing my dress, and it is not the best defense against fire. Trying again, I changed mid-conversation, which horrified the boss so much I was able to get behind him, smack his ass so hard that his fusion core popped out and blew himself and his minions to hell. With all that taken care of, I hopped into a vat of molten metal to see how it felt. It burns.
Well, no fucking shit.
The crazy amount of fire and smoke may or may not have changed my suit, but I didn't have time to wash it as I returned to the sun and returned to Preston in order to move on to the next big step. Taking back the castle. I joined up with Preston outside the castle and started the assault, easily taking care of the big Mirelurks and began exterminating the clutches of Mirelurk eggs until Mama showed up to ruin the party. She killed me over and over, forcing me to play a more hit-and-run style in order to finally take the queen out with only a pube hair of health left. Me and the Minutemen took over the castle, set up a recruitment beacon, and went back to the grind of settlement quests, saving one from sin and finding a locket in a satellite station for some reason. Knowing that the Institute would attack any day now, I went to Sanctuary where I had Nick and Piper staying and moved them to the castle to help bolster my defenses. I continued to explore, stumbling across a battlefield where things would not stop exploding, and past a group of raiders that hit me with an MLG no-scope. I didn't let her live after that. I unlocked another settlement before I got the mission to obtain the large fuck-off cannons in the basement of the castle. I returned and started talking to Ronnie Shaw, and as she talked, I started working on my defenses, setting up turrets and handing out miniguns to Preston, Piper, and Nick to have a never-ending barrage of bullets. I patched the holes in the castle the best I could before going through the basement and destroying a sentry box. So I gained access to the armory and unlocked the sweet, sweet cannons. With the cannons tested and ready and a few more touch-ups to the defenses, the enemy finally arrived and the battle for the castle began. The invasion started from the west and I immediately started attacking the closest tin man I could. Racing over, I intercepted some and took damage that I quickly healed after a quick nap in my sleeping bag. I fought an invisible man on the stairs with my dog, got blasted by a guy camping on the door, and a robot distracted me, letting his friends fill me with holes. The battle was a long and drawn-out fight of me killing robots and getting melted by lasers in every direction possible, sometimes almost instantly. They just kept coming and coming, forcing me to heal up in my bed over and over until they breached the wall, ruining my bed strap because it needed to be a certain distance away to work. This made me unable to heal. I retreated to the armory for safety. I tried to gauge the situation by poking my head out, only to get domed by a laser. This left me and my new friend Jerry stuck in the armory and forced to take on any opponent that made their way into our little room. I tried to blitz out of the room to escape, killing coursers in the process, but it always ended with a stray laser connecting with my finely sculpted ass, even though this kill was funny as hell to me. However, slowly but surely, the synths began to lose numbers, and with one last courser kissing my mallet brought an end to the assault. I talked with Preston and he tells me that Sturgis has found a way into the Institute. Before we stormed the Institute, I needed to get stronger, and the quickest way to do that was to stop my mass fusion and grab the strength bobblehead. Getting the bobblehead wasn't that hard, as I poked a sleeping woman's foot, smashed someone's skull in, and hit the boss with the power of God before grabbing the bobblehead. Nothing could stop me, not even Superman on the 5th floor. It went smoothly without a hitch. Okay, just gotta take this guy out. Ah, shit. I headed back to Sanctuary to find Sturgis, only to find him sleeping. I stood on top of him like a starving house cat that's food bowl was half full, waiting for him to wake up. After he tells me where the entrance to the Institute was located, I make a quick stop at the doctor's to cure my radiation, and then booked it to the secret tunnel, swinging up the Institute's asshole, and finding my way into the sewers, which was strangely infested by feral ghouls for some reason. I made my way through the sewers without a hassle and finally found the Institute. Thankfully, right next to the teleporter with no one around to guard it. I booted up the relay and brought Preston, who was still wielding a giant minigun, which almost made him look cool. Me and the Minutemen plunged into the depths of the Institute, forcing our way through the bowels, taking out synths left and right, not letting anyone escape. There was a point where there were too many lasers firing off. Preston came downstairs to show what happens when you give him an unlimited minigun. Through the hail of bullets, I slipped out and proceeded to take out the remaining synths, but was so thorough that I took out a sentry bot that was minding its own business. Although he got the last laugh, crippling my leg. It healed quickly and we found ourselves in the Institute proper, with a bunch of scientists and monkey. I sadly had to kill Tarzan's family, but it had to be done. We emerged into the atrium full of synths, and I was stuck in the back trying not to die as Preston mowed them down. I took a few out, but was interrupted by an ill-placed grenade right under my ass. We were able to take out the remaining synths, and I made my way to Father's apartment in order to initiate the evacuation, as well as unlock the security lockdown. I walked in on Father in a compromising position and pulled him out of the ground, trying to position him on his bed, but he refused. I smacked him around for good measure, unsure if he was truly dead or not, before alerting the evacuation and lifting the lockdown. I fought my way out of the room, took care of some synths on the top floors, and joined my Minutemen in a big melee, which almost left me dead. We made our way down to the reactor room, taking out as many synths and scientists as I could before letting Preston take over. When my health returned, I blitzed into the room and neutralized the last enemy in our way. Finally, I opened the reactor, placed the bomb, and was zapped back to the teleporter room where my son waited. With my son safe and sound, the Institute ruined, and the biggest boner I've ever had, I walked into the teleporter and was zapped to the top of the mass fusion building. I watched with glee as the Institute erupted across the night sky, proving that yes, you can beat Fallout 4 as Deadpool. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. These are always a treat to make, even though I don't make that many. Leave suggestions for other challenges in the comments below, and I may try them out in the future. I hope to see you guys in the theaters. Love you guys. See ya.